Okay, we're going to begin by looking at how Moodle's interface is when you first drop into it. Okay, now the view you're getting is kind of a condensed screen, so I'm going to have to move the screen around as we go through these parts. So one of the options that you'll first find when you first move into Moodle will be the idea of which role and turn editing on. Now the role, when you click down this drop down menu, it'll give you the ability, and this will be handy as you work through assignments, to get a view of what the students have. But obviously you'll be the teacher or the instructor, but it gives you the ability to see things from a student view and the teacher view. That way, if you're ever curious on how to check information to make sure that you're getting the same view as the student, that's possible. The other option here is this button right here, the toggle, to either have turn editing on or turn editing off. Okay, now as you see, when I turn editing off, the screen changed. Okay, the difference between turn editing on and turn editing off is that obviously turn editing on will allow you to manipulate the page and do the things that you want to. So right now I have editing on, and by doing that, what you'll find is that when you go into this initial screen here, this gives me these options here that we're looking at, which we'll get into in more detail. That gives, which gives you editing capabilities right there on the screen, so you don't have to go into another area, which is kind of nice. Another aspect that I'd like to focus on this initial introduction here to the interface are the panels on the left-hand side. You'll see this box here with activities, you'll see the box here with people and the participants, you'll see another box with activities, more of where the editing box is. If you notice here, the activities this one up here doesn't have the ability, or the editing symbols and icons, this one does. You have a little search form here. You always have this as well, similar to other LMS systems. You have the little breadcrumb up at the top. So the name of this would be the name of your class or the name of the course that you're instructing. But it gives you an ability to come back to this initial home page, and it leaves the little breadcrumb as you click through the site. Another component here on the left-hand side is this administration block. This is where you have an option to turn editing on and off, the settings, your grades, the backup, restore, and import, reset the settings, the reports, and then files. And we'll go through each of these and kind of give you a little better understanding of what the functions are. But that's definitely a panel you'll want to know. You also have your course categories down here that let you know which courses you are in or have. And next, let's look over on the right-hand side of the screen. Underneath the turn editing off or on button, you'll see a campus link to campus view and student activity, messages. This kind of replaces the message board. And you'll notice here there's no editing function here, it's down here. I've actually added a calendar. This is actually an add-on, something I can show you. But I think that's a nice feature to put on there because it can keep students up to date with the dates of what's going on in the course. Underneath the calendar, you'll see events. This is where you can adjust the calendar by color coding, where it's a global event or a group event or a course event or a user event, and it can adjust accordingly to the calendar and display that color. And then you have this, I think it's similar to like what a wiki does, but it gives you the recent activity functions to let you know what your previous work has done, or what you have done previously, or changes that you have made when you're signed in at that moment. Therefore, if you find something horrific mistake and you want to go back and change it, you can click back on the link and it'll take you to the previous setting to be able to view it. And then this is the area where you would add blocks to the right and left hand side of the column, where it gives you many more choices. That we'll get into some of them. Some of them I would suggest playing with and figuring out on your own. Another feature that I want to point out too, this we'll get into more as we work through this, is in this initial screen here. You'll see these options here, these drop-down menus. Those are going to be, we'll deal a lot with those in the functions that they serve. But you'll also see these periodically throughout on functions, and it's these little yellow question marks, or little yellow circles with a black question mark inside it. And if you click on those, a pop-up window appears. And what the pop-up window does is it gives you an explanation of what that function is. Okay, and this one it explains what the resource types and labels are. And so it gives you a nice little brief explanation, a brief guide of what those functions are. And I think that's something, as you work through it and get familiar with Moodle, to use those and utilize those. Those are terribly helpful. And there's another resource built in through Moodle Docs as well, and I'll show that when that comes up.